Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Ed Hackett. I'm the principal here at the James F. Doughty School. I want to welcome you to our question and answer session for today. I want to explain why we chose the YouTube format. Is it does not limit the amount of participants that can join, as where Zoom limits the amount of people that can be on at one time. We are live, and you can see the live chat. Mr. Mooring, the assistant principal, is here with me. He will be monitoring those questions as we go along. Last week, I did ask that if anyone had questions, they could forward those to me, and I do have several of those that I would like to address at this point, which may answer some of the questions that you have. The first one was, can you explain the options available for students this fall? And there are three options. One option is what we call in school. That's 5 days a week, in person with teachers in the classroom. The second option would be a hybrid model where a student is live with teachers part-time, and then they work independently at home part-time. And then the third option would be a remote option where students are at home 5 days a week. Teachers would engage with them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, either through Zoom or Google Meet. They would work on their assignments through the day. They can interact with the teacher, and then they're given assignments for the time that they are not in school, and then the following day, they would go over the material and then be presented with other material. It's important to note that the remote learning, students will be required to join classes when they're in session. The teacher will invite them in. They're built into a schedule. For example, if you have ELA in the morning at 8:15 would be on a regular schedule, the teacher will invite you into the Google Meet. Attendance will be taken, and then we'll move forward with that. So participation is required. The second one was dealing with busing. They wanted to know what was going on with busing. I can tell you Bus has been working all summer trying to schedule students that needed busing. The latest update from the CDC and DOE, at one point, 10 students could ride on a bus, and they have upped that to 20 students, 22 students, so that should help eliminate some of the busing issues. At this point, we have about 30% of our population that have requested busing. And if you do have questions, you can either contact us or contact Bus. There's a question about ventilation and air handling at school. I can tell you that the director of maintenance has been in the building. They've been checking all of the univents. They've been replacing the filters. They're all new filters. And each classroom and office will also be equipped with a HEPA purifying system. And that's what we're doing with the ventilation at this point. This one is the next question that was asked is probably going to be one of the most difficult situations that we need to deal with, and that's mask and face coverings. On the July 31st update from the CDC and DOE, they mandated that from ages 5 and up, that they were required to wear a mask while in school, even with distancing. We're hoping that will be an easy transfer from students from home wearing a mask to school. We know we're going to have some issues with that. It will be a learning environment for students that have difficulty with that. We'll try to teach them, explain to them that it's a health concern. The school that will provide 2-cloth masks for each child. If you need that, you can certainly wear your own or bring your own. It is, however, if a student cannot wear a mask or refuses to wear a mask, the Department of Education deems that the child can be placed on remote learning because of the implications of the health concern that is going on in schools today. During lunchtime, obviously, we'll maintain the 6-foot distancing where children will take their mask off to eat. But other than that, the classrooms are set up for students to be 3 feet from each other. The question of athletics has come up. At this point, no decision has been made on fall activities. We are waiting for guidance from the Maine Principals Association, and once that decision has come out, we will certainly share that with you as soon as we know what the outcome of that will be. Another question dealt with locker usage. We will not be using student lockers this year because of the close proximity of student to student and the closeness of the lockers. Therefore, that won't be allowed. But students will be allowed to bring backpacks and wear backpacks and bring those to class with them. Question on class size. Initially, with the 6-foot spacing, we went around to all of the rooms where we could fit approximately 12 students, 10 to 12 students in each room that we had. The update from the CDC when they dropped that to a 3-foot distancing allowed us to schedule between 15 and 18 students in a room. Question, how will students know where to go the first day of school? As you're standing out front on Fifth Street facing the school, we will have tables. Teachers will all be out on duty. They'll have the bright yellow vest. Grade 6 students will enter as you look at the building to the right where the gymnasium is on the side entrance. Teachers will direct them there. They'll go in that door where they'll wash or sanitize their hands. There will be teachers waiting there to direct them. There's a stairwell that goes directly to the 6th grade wing, and then they will be into their homeroom at that point. Grade 7 will enter actually where they did from grade 6. It will be the entrance near the auditorium. Again, teachers will be present there. If you have questions, I know anxiety is going to be high. We want to settle people down. They will help them in the building there where teachers will then direct them up that stairwell to where the majority of grade 7 homeroom mod 1 periods will take place. And grade 8 will enter through the entrance near the Media Center Library, where they will come in, again, being met by teachers there, and the homerooms are basically on that first floor. This will help prevent any crossing of students, mixing of students during the entrance into school.
Parent wants to know if children's temperatures will be checked each day.
Question, if student temperatures will be checked every day. That was the initial determination from CDC, DOE. They have retracted that, indicating that the screeners are about accurate 50% of the time. They're now saying that parents and family need to go through that check sheet of questions to determine whether or not their child fits in one of those categories where they should not attend school. So the answer to that is no, we will not be checking temperatures of students when they enter the building. The question was, what are the percentages of the options that were asked earlier? Approximately 64% of our student population have chosen the option to be in school. The hybrid model, 19%, and then the remote option is at 16%. So those were the questions that were sent to me prior to this meeting. So now we are on the live chat where you folks can type in questions that you have, and we will address those as best we can. And I'm going to look at the should be taken. I think it's key to notice that we are all in a new wave where schools will not look the same as they had always looked before. And the first 2 weeks of school, we basically will be developing a new routine. Students haven't been in school for 5 months, nor have teachers. And so we need to get them into school. The social and emotional aspects of coming back, the anxiety of being around a group of people where they haven't been around will be dealt with. And teachers are going to take it slow and easy those first 2 weeks of school until we can get into a rhythm and routine.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Will hybrid students and full-time students be separated?
Okay, our intent is that the full-time students and hybrid students will not be mixed. that there will be separate sections of each. The situation may arise where if you have what's called a singleton class, which means there is only one section of a given class, primarily this would be an accelerated group or resource room group, there may be overlap with remote and hybrid teaching, but 99% of that will not. They will be individual classes.
Will students be moving between classes throughout the day?
Great question. Right now, we are scheduling students in cohorts. So when they come first thing in the morning, they will stay in that room. We are moving teachers to and from those rooms instead of moving students. Again, as I just explained, there are some classes that would have to move in order to get the right students into the right section of that class. But the majority of the time, we will be bringing teachers to those classes and cutting down on the footprint of the students and the interactions with other people.
You want to talk about hallway and stairway?
The hallway and stairwells, we have 4 stairwells in the building. 2 of them will be for students to go upstairs and 2 of them to come downstairs. The hallways at this point, we will allow traffic to flow both ways. We have a 9-foot, 10-foot distance between them. It will be single file, closest to the wall. And again, that will be monitored to make sure that students maintain as much distance, a minimum of 3 feet, when moving through the hallway.
Okay, we're getting feedback that you need to repeat the question I say to you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the next one is, what will mass breaks be like?
Math breaks, we continue to work on this. Basically, what I think we have to do at this point, and again, we continue to try to determine the best way of doing this. When they're in a class and they are 3 feet from one another, we would need to take a group of students, let's say you have 15 in a class, that we would take 5 of them out in the hallway, allow them to take their mask off for a period of time, move them back into the school, into their classroom, and then continue through it that way. When we have 15 students in a class, we cannot have a mass break because of the distancing at that time.
Next one that you're going to repeat.
I'm going to repeat, I'm sorry.
Is, when will the 6th grade students find out their homeroom teachers and class teachers?
When will 6th grade teachers, students find out their homeroom and schedule? I can tell you right now, our hope is to have everyone scheduled by the end of next week. And it may be that you can check online. If not, we have tables set up that day, first day of school, where students can go to the table, find out where they need to go to their first mod, which is their homeroom as well. And then we will get them to where they need to be.
Let's see here. How will you handle a positive COVID case for teachers or students?
How will we handle a positive COVID-19 case? This is a question that we look at daily. There are guidelines from the CDC, DOE that we would follow. It's my understanding that if we have a positive case, some type of closure will take place, either where that child was, where the teacher was, the classroom, potentially a wing, or the school. That decision is not made at this level, and we would take the direction from the CDC to deal with whatever the symptoms were of the individual or child that have been diagnosed.
What are the bathroom policies and how many are allowed at a time?
What are the bathroom policies and how many are allowed at a time? At this time, we will allow 2 individuals into the bathroom, again, with the distancing. We have to explain that routine to them so they don't get within 3 feet of each other in the bathroom. There will be stalls that are off limits. There will be, you know, in the boys' bathroom, some urinals that will be closed off. We will monitor that of how many go in at a time. It would be 1 and 2, and then there'll be marks outside of the bathrooms with the 6 feet distancing.
What will students do as soon as they get to
They
school?
will be brought directly into the building in the given doors that we had mentioned earlier. We ask that parents dropping off students try to get to as close as 8:10 as possible. We know in some instances where parents work that's difficult for them and they'll be dropping off earlier. But again, we will not be outside at all. Once a child comes to school, we'll bring them inside.
The question is, will school lunches be offered? Probably ought to address hybrid and remote kids.
Right. School lunches be provided? Great question. And breakfast as well as lunch. When students arrive in the morning, there will be bagged lunches and breakfast available to them. Breakfast being the morning, we'll take a head count first thing in the morning. The lunches will be delivered to the rooms where the students are, and then the bagged lunches will be handed out. Those that are on hybrid and remote, we will provide lunches to you folks. You would need to call the day prior to by 9 o'clock, and then the next day you can pick up lunches. They will serve those from the cafeteria. We would ask that you give us plenty of time so we make sure that the food is available for you.
Will students get new masks every day if they're provided by the school?
No, the students will receive 2 cloth masks from the schools. What they do is they would wear one to school. They come home that day, they would put that wash it in the sink, let it dry. That next day they wear the second mask, and then you would repeat that process. If a child loses a mask, obviously we will try to replace them as best we can. School, Mr. Mooring was indicating that the school nurse is going to make a handout with how students should wear a mask, how to put one on, how to take one off. I can tell you, wearing the mask myself, obviously right now I'm not because I'm in my office having this session, but we all will wear a mask, and it takes some getting used to. It bothers the ears, I can tell you that right now. Those of us that have big ears, it's a little worse than those that don't, but it's something that we have to deal with. And I think our students will be resilient. I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue. We'll deal with it the best that we can.
What will PE classes be like, or music classes that are in close quarters?
The PE classes, we will run PE classes, especially in the fall. There'll be more personalized individual goals. There'll be a lot of walking. There'll be exercise units increased outside. If they're inside the gym, again, there'll be no locker room usage. They will have their distancing and we'll do stretching activities. There are times that the physical education teachers will hold these students in a classroom, go over some nutritional facts with them, and we move forward with the individualized training. There will be no team sport activities at this time. Music, the AM, PM music right now is on hold. It has not been canceled. We are waiting probably a 2-week to 3-week period. We need to focus on the opening of school right now, getting students in the building, making sure the routines are followed, and then we will work on those activities prior to school and then after school.
Waiting for more questions.
Waiting for more questions.
Here we go. If I do not feel comfortable with my child being in the live classroom, are they able to switch to remote?
Great question. The answer to that is yes. We are hoping that the selections you have made, that's why we ran a second survey to make sure that we were honoring what you would be requesting and what's best for your child. Our intent is that they would stay in that first selection for the first quarter. And the reason we try to say that is that scheduling becomes an issue with that. And let's say, for example, you had a child that was in the hybrid and wanted to move into 5 days a week. We could do that, but we couldn't guarantee that they would be in the same classes that they were with hybrid due to the schedule. And remote is the same way. It's easier to go from the 5 days to remote or hybrid than it is going the other way. So at this point, we still are honoring requests from from parents. If you have them, if you made a decision and now you've decided that you would like to change that, we'd ask that you call the school either today or first thing on Monday. We are in the middle of scheduling now. Yeah, good question.
It's a good one. Will kids be changing for gym?
Students will not be required to change for gym at this point because we don't have access to the locker room.
How do we get an incoming 7th grader, although it could be any grade, into an accelerated class?
At this point, what you would need, how do you get a student into an accelerated class at this point? You would contact the school, speak with a guidance counselor. Again, we would schedule them into that at this point. So there shouldn't be much of an issue if you elect now to add an accelerated course.
How will science experiments be
Another great question. How will we handle science experiments? A lot of it will be demonstration by the instructor. The hands-on activities obviously have to be limited because of the space that we have, but we still want the activities to take place and the students at least have an opportunity to see what the experiment is. We are still working on that. Stay tuned on that one.
It's a good question. Is there still hot lunch or a la carte?
Is there still hot lunch or a la carte? Right now, there is discussion about what the cafeteria will be serving. Obviously, there is no a la carte. There is no line. There is no place for them to receive that. I should also mention that we are not allowed to use the cafeteria or the gymnasium to feed individuals. Apparently, that's a hot spot. The hot lunch, I'm not sure what the actual menu will be. The director of food services will have that available, what the schedule for the week and month is.
Sorry. With all the changes and anxiety surrounding this new way of doing things, is anything going to be done to help the kids to socialize within the distance guideline?
With all of the anxiety and situations, the social emotional well-being of a student, will we allow for them to socialize within the 3 foot? And the answer to that is yes. The first 2 weeks, that's what we will be focusing on, to re-engage students with one another, to establish new routines and get them feeling comfortable and good about being at school.
Parent wants to know if a copy of this will be available later so they can watch it again. I guess my answer is, as soon as I figure out how to do that, I'm going to post it on the website. Yes,
this session is being recorded. Our intentions are to post that on the website. Mr. Butler will certainly help us do that if Mr. Morin can't. I can tell you right now, I wish I could do that. My capabilities are limited when it comes to technology, unfortunately. But yes, you will be able to get, and the questions that are being asked also, we can download and have those on our website as well.
Okay, when will you be able to pick between Spanish and French for 8th graders?
As soon as, when will you be able to select a foreign language? That should have been done last spring. We didn't have last spring. So if you have questions or concerns, please call and speak with our guidance counselor, Mrs. O'Reilly. And we are in the midst of scheduling those classes right now. We need hard numbers to make sure we offer enough sections. So if that is a concern of yours, please contact the school today or on Monday.
Aaron said, I'm sorry if I missed your answer, but will there not be any hot food items for lunch?
At this point, it's my understanding that that will be sandwiches, a drink, piece of fruit. I know there are guidelines that the food service have to follow. I can look into that further. I will investigate that further.
Well, no questions, just right at this moment.
At this point, there are no questions. Again, folks, I know the anxiety as a parent. What's the right thing to do? What should I do with my child? What if my child doesn't want to be at school? Those are all normal reactions to the situation we're in. We've never been in this situation. We are all new to this, and we will do the best we can to make sure that your student gets the finest and best education that can be provided at this time.
When will schedules be released?
When will schedules be released is the next question. We hope to have everyone scheduled by the end of next week. I can't guarantee that, depending on from this session. If we have a lot of changes, that will affect when we can schedule those students. Again, the access, I believe, would be online. Mr. Moran, can they do that online?
At some point, yes.
At some point, the portal will be open, so you can go in and view that. If you don't do that, obviously the schedule will be available that first day of school for the child.
What time should students be picked up, dropped off and picked up, and are there any changes or procedural changes?
Another great question. What time should students be dropped off and picked up? Again, hopefully in the morning when you drop them off, it's as close to 8:10 as possible. We will be staggering, as we will during the school day, grade levels, dismissal times. For example, walkers will be dismissed at 2:25, and they will exit through their closest exit door. At 2:27, we'll then release students that are being picked up by parents. And then at 2:30, we'll release the bus students. And we're going to, again, we will monitor that, see the changes that we need to make, where the bottlenecks occur, and plan accordingly.
I think you answered that one. Okay, good question, especially for sixth grade parents. How do we access the portal?
Great question. You are assigned an ID code, and I think that is done through our technology department.
Most sixth grade parents have to call and get reassigned because they haven't used it in so long.
Okay, so what I'm being told is that parents would need to contact the school, and that a code would be reissued to you so you could access Infinite Campus online.
I answered that one. How many days each week will hybrid students be in school?
The hybrid schedule would be, how many days are the hybrid students in school? We'll have two groups. Let's say group A is going to school week 1. They would go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Group 2 would go Tuesday, Thursday. The following week, group A would go Monday, Wednesday. Group 2 would go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So basically what we're doing is alternating every other Friday for those students.
Will students be assigned laptops again this year?
Students will be assigned laptops the first day here. Another area that we want teachers to work with students early on is how to access and how they would access if we were to go to a yellow or red county, and we would have to go remote for all, or if we had to go hybrid. So they would be able to know how to access, as well as the teachers getting into where they needed to go. So yes, they will be issued laptops day 1.
And we'll schedule time for remote.
And we will, if a child you've selected the remote, we will schedule times that you can come and pick up the laptop here at school. Mr. Mooring, other questions
Yeah, I'm asking.
that we should cover? Again, I appreciate your folks coming to this session, asking questions. The more questions you can ask, the more information we can get out, and hopefully the easier and fluent start to the school year.
What's the procedure if a child gets sick? How long before they can come back?
Okay, the question is, what's the procedure if a child gets sick and how long before they can come back? If a child shows symptoms during the school day, that child, we have a room dedicated so that individual would be in that room. We would try to contact the parent to come and get them. If not, we would ask either the nurse or a social worker to try to get in touch with the family to come and pick up the child. As far as how long will they be out, it depends. A lot of these symptoms could be the flu symptoms. It could be a cold. You as a parent at that point would answer those questions that are provided. If you need to, or you think it's more serious than a cold, probably see your provider and get direction from them. The CDC does have guidelines that we should follow if it is a positive case of COVID-19.
What do the new cleaning procedures consist of?
We are right in the middle of this. Deep cleaning is that all surface areas that are touched, door handles, light switches, railings on the school stairwells are wiped down intermittently throughout the day. We put another custodian on during the day when the students are in the building. There is an outfit that has been hired that will come in and it's called fogging the rooms. And what that does is it applies, and I'm not sure what the cleaning solution is, but apparently it's supposed to last up to 90 days, where it sits for 10 minutes, then it's wiped off, and then each night those areas are disinfected.
Will there be regular hand washing intervals, such as entering a room, leaving a room, touching doors, etc.?
What we are looking, will there be regular hand washing intervals? What we plan to do when the students enter the building, first thing in the morning, there will be sanitizing stations there where they will be asked to use the sanitizer on their hands, go up to class. Obviously, if they go to the bathroom, we'd ask that they wash their hands there. We will provide an opportunity for them to wash their hands before lunch, after lunch. And again, we're looking at potentially having them wash their hands prior to leaving the building. So yes, there'll be multiple opportunities for students to wash their hands.
What are those CDC guidelines for a positive case of COVID in a child?
I believe you can go to the Department of Education website and pull that up. They're pretty significant that you can read, and I wouldn't want to misquote what they're saying. And I believe we have referenced that in the frequently asked questions section online, but there is a website that you can hook onto there that will give you a complete list of what you should be looking for. Do you see anything else there, Mr. Moore?
Yeah.
Again, one of the key areas we want to focus on is the social and emotional aspect of a child. It's been a long time since they've been interacting with other people, high anxiety. We have lessons developed through the social workers and guidance that will be addressing those for the first 8 days of school. It will provide an opportunity for students to have discussion, explain how they're feeling, or if they need an area to go to get help with that, we'll provide that for them as well. And that goes for parents too, that are wondering, what is the school doing to make sure that my child is being safely taken care of when here at school.
Are there sanitizer pumps in the hallways or classrooms?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one again.
Are there sanitizer pumps in the hallways or classrooms?
The sanitizer pumps, there are several in the hallways. At this point, There are not any in the classrooms. However, grade 6 classrooms all have a sink, and that's where students there will be washing their hands periodically. We are putting up more hand washing pump stations as we get closer to school. I should mention that the water fountains, students will not be able to drink from the water fountain. They're bottle fillers. We're in the process. We have 2 of those now. We're in the process of getting 4 more installed. Hopefully those will be installed prior to the beginning of school. If not, those will be off limit to them. But we would certainly ask that if they need to fill the water bottles, we certainly can do that. They are allowed to have water bottles, drinks with them when they come to school.
Will the windows be open to increase ventilation?
Windows will be open. Will windows be open to increase ventilation? Yes. The answer to that is yes. As many windows as we can have open, we will have open. Dr. Webb is looking into the fan situation right now. The CDC had mentioned that classrooms could use fans in order to circulate the air. And we're not sure whether it has to be a ventilation situation where it's bringing air from the outside in, or we can put them in the classroom just to move the air around.
We typically bus 5 days, but haven't opted to drop off to help out with the option to switch to partial or full busing at a later date if need be.
The question is, typically those students that ride the bus 5 days, we had asked parents through the guidelines of the CDC that the safest opportunity would be for parents to drop those students off. There will be an opportunity once we continue and get into the school year and things settle down that we can increase the busing. I'm sure that is something that we need to do and will do. Yes. Great questions, folks. Great questions. Obviously, we're anxious to get the building open and going again. It's been pretty lonely here, pretty quiet. School's great when we have people in the buildings.
Do we need to notify the school if our child is a walker or pickup?
Do we need to notify the school if our child is a walker or pickup? No, you do not. Like I said, if they're a walker, they will be dismissed. Grade 6 would be dismissed and come down the stairwell that they entered the school in. And again, pickups really are vehicle and patterns of pickup. We're going to have to evaluate that pretty much daily, depending on the amount of students that are coming, parents that are coming, when they're coming, to make sure that there's not a bottleneck of students gathering in one place.
Will there be someone monitoring how many students are in one bathroom at any given time?
Okay, the question is, will there be someone monitoring how many students are in one bathroom at a given time? We plan on using ed techs to do a lot of monitoring of that. Teachers will work with one another to determine when a child has left their room. And again, we would explain to the children that if there are 2 in there, that they would wait. If no one is around, that some of the responsibility would be theirs to help us get through this time.
Is there a list of supplies that parents could help out with?
Is there a list of supplies that parents could help out with? We don't per se have a list that parents need to provide for students. We provide a lot of the materials that the students will need. Obviously, a writing utensil, backpack, if you have one. If some of you need help getting backpacks, we can help that. We'd get in touch with a social worker here or the guidance counselor to help facilitate that. Other than that, in a notebook, we're ready to go. Should also mention on the hybrid schedules that the schools are working together to make sure if you have children at different buildings, that if you've selected that hybrid option, for each child that we will work with schools to make sure that those children are going to the hybrid days on the same days, if you will, and that you would not alternate those days within the house setting. See, at this point, the questions are slowing down. I know we said that we would keep this to an hour, and we've been going about 42 minutes now. If there are no more questions, then we would end this session, but I would ask that if you do or think of questions that have not been asked, that you give the school a call, and we will address your questions on an individualized basis. Again, I want to thank everyone for participating today, and I hope you have a great weekend. Oh, we got another question pop up. Will library books be available to take home? Yes, they will be, not right at the beginning of school. There are procedures that we need to follow, again, with the handling of paper materials to get those books out, but yes, they will be available.
Will sixth graders need a notebook for each subject, or do they have workbooks in math like they've had in younger grades?
The question is, will sixth graders need a notebook for subjects, for each subject? Will they have workbooks like they had last year? I would say they will need a notebook. I would get one of those that have a 3 divider, I guess, because the Envision Math is a book that they can take papers in and out of. Science is also going that way. So I would say social studies and English would need a book, yes.
I would say though that they probably want one notebook to put everything in because they have to carry everything around with them.
So one notebook.
That's what I would say.
Mr. Mooring makes a good point, is that probably you would want just one notebook for the subjects because they would be traveling with those. Hopefully not a whole lot, but when they do move, they would have to take the belongings with them.
Will hybrid students start on the same first day as 5-day students?
Again, will hybrid students start on the same day as 5-day students? We will be in contact with students and parents who have elected the hybrid model. School opens on, I believe it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So school opens on a Tuesday. That would mean Group B would be the first group of students that would come to school on that Tuesday. Not all hybrid students will come on Tuesday. The first day of school for the Group A hybrid students would be Wednesday. And then we would follow the schedule from that point on. Nothing. Again, I really don't want to end the session early. We've got about 15 minutes to go. If people are just getting on now, certainly want to allow them the opportunity to ask questions. Again, I'd like to thank you all for participating in this session. It's a great opportunity for us to exchange ideas, to give you hopefully answers to put your mind at ease, to put your children's mind at ease that school's going to open. We will be ready for them. It will be a safe environment for them, and that we would move forward at this point. Again, at this point, I think we'll probably end the session. I appreciate, again, your involvement with this. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Thanks again.